Lagos. Beyond the hustle and bustle, this is a place where dreams are formed, nurtured and actualized. My name is Grace Cofie and I welcome you to another episode of Metro Lagos. Today we'll be going into details of what the clay pottery industry looks like here in the city of Lagos. And for Inside Lagos, we'll be exploring the city of Ikeja, where we'll move to a cool leisure spot where you can relax after a long stressful day of working in Lagos. I'm sure you do not want to miss all of that juice, so follow me. Clay pottery is one of the oldest forms of human inventions and has gone through a wide range of innovations and creativity. It ranges from cooking usages to aesthetic purposes and has been accepted by majority in homes and commercial spaces in Lagos. I will be speaking to Kemi and Francis on how well they have navigated the business of pottery while living in Lagos.
Francis and Kemi has a love for the pottery craft from their young years, and they tell us how they started and how being in the business for over 4 years has been.
One of the most ancient crafts in Nigeria, in Africa, and then in the world at large. Speaking of the days of our great-grandmother, Adekemi, and from that we have different sets and generations of potters that have worked or made different pieces across the country. And yeah, we took off from some of the great master potters around the country, and we learned from them, and then we also felt, okay, it's time for us to start ours. So personally, I started running my studio while I was in the university. I had a studio in Obanijesu, and we were there for a couple of years, 3 years, before we moved down to Lagos. How it has been for me, it has been spontaneous, and it has been from a phase to the other. There was a time when we started, we have a kind of customer and a level of orders that, people can trust us with based on the fact that, oh, we're just starting out, or we can say we're newbies. But, at some point as we begin to grow and connect with people, things begin to change. Okay, so I'll first of all talk about why I decided to stay in Obanijesu. So personally, I believe that a group of young individuals or an individual who decide to be an agent of change in any part of the world can make their change and make their voice as loud as being in any other part of the world. So I felt like, oh, being in Obanijesu does not mean that my story cannot be heard or my business cannot be known. What it just means is that I need to keep producing, keep being at the top of my game, keep reaching out to people, keep making sure that people get to see the product and all the likes. But as time moves on, for about 2-3 years, we figure out that most of the sales, and basically about 92% of the sales, are coming from Lagos. And that sends a signal or a note of sustainability first, before the story or the idea we're trying to sell to the world. So now that helps us, getting to sell more means that we get more profit and means that we get to sustain and keep the brand moving. So for that reason, we felt, oh, since a particular or the larger amount of our customers are coming from this particular location, and in fact, as a matter of fact, we usually have declines, which was not an issue until we needed to expand. And I felt, oh, there's a need for us to really pay attention to, the Lagos market. And then that prompted the idea of coming around to Lagos. Now, if not at least canceling the studio in Obanijesu, we saw the need to actually bring something else, maybe a branch or even the head office down here. And since then, we've had to run on both ends to make sure that we can satisfy people in Lagos, here in Lagos, and then people in Obanijesu and the rest part of the country from Obanijesu.
I studied it in school. I studied ceramics. No, I studied fine arts, then I specialized on ceramics because we have different courses under fine arts. So after finishing my OND, I went for my high tea, a year high tea, to learn this pottery. So after coming back, went back to school to study ceramics to know more. So after that, I was on my own. I've been on my own since then.
The pottery industry over the years has come to stay, and here's what Kemi says about it.
It's not that profitable for now because clay is very, very scarce, and it's not even easy to get. So we are just managing and trying to just to make something.
Clay is a major raw material for Kemi and Francis, but getting clay in Lagos is quite a hassle, and this has posed a threat to the survival of the business situated in the state. On where to get clay, Kemi and Francis speaks on the major clause of getting unrefined clay and how this process is for them.
Have to go to all those villages to get the clay, and it's very expensive. All these tipper drivers, they keep on complaining that diesel is very expensive these days. So, and the villagers too, they will collect money for us to dig, because we used to dig to get the clay. So, very, very expensive.
Start with one of the most pressing challenge when it comes to clay sourcing in Nigeria. The first is, unlike every other part of the world, there's always the clay processing brands and businesses and organizations, right? So what potters like us just do is go ahead to pick up the product, already processed clay, and then work with them. But right now in Nigeria, where there's no organization or there's no company, there's no business, and that's a business idea, So there's nobody doing that, and we all have to find a way to make sure that you access clay from whichever means, God knows where everybody's getting theirs from. But while we're in Obanijesu, there's a clay dump site not far from the studio, and so our team in Obanijesu still picks up this clay, process it in the studio, and then send it to us. Also, we have a partner in Lagos here. We have a partner that helps us, that picks up, they use clay for production of, different other things like buildings, and then we pick from them. They do it for free, right? We pick from them, just send our van, pick the products, bring them into the studio. But in that case, it means that we need to further work on the clay to make sure that they are usable to meet our own taste. So we go ahead to add other clay bodies like porcelain from kaolin. For the filters, we go ahead to add sawdust, and for the normal process, we had grog, kaolin, and
For Kemi and Francis, the process of making the clay pots are not far apart from each other, but with little distinctions, which make each piece creatively unique and different.
Very, very stressful. First, you get the clay, not sand. So after getting the clay, you bring it down to your place. After bringing it down, you'll have to process the clay. The processing is you first sun dry the clay. After sun drying, you pound. After pounding, you sieve. After sieving, you mix with water or with your maybe slip to get a very good clay. Before you will now bring it, then put it on the wheel to use it to make something. And to even make something, it's not that easy. You will have to just put it in your mind that it's not easy. Let me just put it like that, because you can only make what is in your mind. And for you to connect your mind with your hands to get something, it's not that easy.
We source for clay. So let me quickly talk about the kinds of materials that we use. First is the clay. We use sawdust for the filters. Next is kaolin and water. So clay, we source for clay. Clay has a dump site where you can pick up the head-produced clay from. We source for this clay, bring them into the studio. So we have two means of preparing our clay, the dry format and the wet format. Using the dry format, we have a machine that helps us grind dry clay into powders, and then we sieve them to separate the shaft from what we actually need. We then go ahead to mix this powdered sieved clay with sieved clay, the liquid sieved clay. So now that's the ones we produce using the wet model. So we also soak that in water for like 2-3 days, make sure that they absorb water enough, and then we mix them with water to make it very slurry. And from that, we then sieve it to also take off the shaft and the pebbles from them, and then go ahead to mix the slurry liquid with the powdered mix, and then we have our clay. We go ahead to let them age on the clay shelf for like 2 to 3 weeks after they age. And you know, the level or the amount or the, let me just use the word level, the level of the aging that the clay gets gives you a good workability when you're working. So when the clay ages, it helps it become more plastic, and then it improves the workability of those clay. So after 2 to 3 weeks on the shelves, we bring them to the wheel or maybe to the workstation, where we either use them as hand-built or as wheel-thrown pottery. Wheel-thrown pottery are made with either manual wheel or electric wheels. We throw them on the wheel, then we let them dry for like 24 hours, depending on how ready we are. We let them dry and then go ahead to turn them and then burnish them. After that, then we decide if we want to design them with coils, with arching, with carving, and then we let them dry completely for another 2 weeks. Although that is dependent on the climate, the weather, right? During the Harmattan, we can let that pass in like a week plus. But during the rainy season, we need to give it like 3 weeks or maybe 4 sometimes to make sure that they are properly dried. And then we take them to the kiln. We fire them in the kiln for 10 to 12 hours, depending on how slow we think the firing needs to go and how fast we think it can bear it, and depending on the sizes of the pots or the pieces that we're firing. So we fire from 10 to 12 hours, and then we take them out. If the pieces requires that they are being glazed, we go ahead to glaze them. If it requires that they are being hand painted, we go ahead to hand paint them, and then we let them dry completely after hand painting them, or we let them go, you know, cold after glazing them, and then we package them and send them out for delivery.
Making a clay piece requires time, effort, patience, dexterity, and this varies depending on what the piece is and how large it is. Kemi and Francis gives us an insight into how long an average piece takes.
Producing pots, we work with weather sometimes. Sometimes it used to be slow, sometimes it used to be fast. So we work with weather. To place order, we used to give them 2 weeks. Sometimes it used to ready before the 2 weeks, then sometimes it takes more than the 2 weeks. So that's it.
Okay, so this is one thing I've always looked for, an opportunity to be able to enlighten Nigerians, or maybe just pottery lovers. So basically, an average ceramic piece would take nothing less than 3 weeks. That's the smallest piece. Now, there are some pieces that we don't take extra consciousness about because we probably understand some of those pieces, or the fact that their sizes or their designs or, you know, the way they are does not matter a lot about how you let them dry or how you fire them, even though that precaution should be taken. But some of those pieces, you can let them fly. But there are some that you need to pay good attention to. I mean, there's a piece right here that we were trying to rush, and then, I mean, it got to the fire, and then we lost it. So these things happen. So for us not to do that, or not to lose our pieces, we try to give them good time to, you know, make sure that each process. So ceramic production takes a long time, and a lot of factors affect them, like firing, like the weather, sun, harmattan, and, you know, all kinds of things.
In sourcing for equipment, while Francis and his team built a screen from scratch, Kemi tells us where she gets her equipment from and how she makes it work.
Our equipment were imported because most of these people in this country, they didn't know much about pottery. So if you are trying to explain to them that it must look like this or it must be like this, they will be like, no. They will take you to another level or take you through another way. So we do import some, and some that we too, we can improvise. We do that too.
Kemi and Francis have built businesses in Lagos, and according to them, it has been a full ride with many highs and lows. They share some of the challenges they face running the pottery business in Lagos State.
There's a lot of challenges. The most important, the major challenge is the getting of the clay. It's very, very stressful. It's not easy to get. You will have to travel far. After traveling far, you will have to be begging those people that please let us dig to get that clay, because we need that plastic clay and it's very, very scarce. You will have to dig maybe 4 layers after the ground. You pay, bringing it down to you pay. After bringing it down.
Number of challenge, you know, while that question came, a song popped up in my mind, but I'll let it pass. There are different challenges from different part of the business. First is sourcing clay, second is clay processing. The third is the weather that I spoke about. So we have different challenges for different weathers. First is during Harmattan, we lose quite a number of pieces because they dry too quickly before they are being finished. During the rain, the pieces get too long before they dry, and our customers are like, they will kill you. Anyway, that's on a lighter note. And our customers are always on our neck saying they need their pots. But I mean, this is the climate or the weather not helping us dry our pots, and then we can't finish. That's one basic challenge. The third challenge is that our clients do not understand that these things take a long time and that it is stressful. And although we somehow, in the last few months, we moved out of that customer segment. You know, there's this set of people that gets to give you like a 100K job, and then they are calling you, my daughter will die if you don't my daughter will die if you don't sell the pot tomorrow. Anyway, so, and you know, that the fact that some customers, right, or the customers we had in the past, or the set of customers that we serviced in the past, some of them don't understand. Yes, these things take time and they take a lot of energy to make sure that each piece is, especially brands like us, that we're careful about our image out there, we're careful about what customers are saying about our product. We want to make sure that we pay attention to every little detail. If you get a particular order, a particular job, you can finish it, do all the aesthetics and everything, send it into the kiln, you fire, and then you lose the pot, maybe to cracks or to breaking, or some of them you completely lost them. And then it means that you have to go all over again, from clay to wheel throwing, to turning, to burnishing, to designs, to drying, and then to firing.
Lagos is a business hub and marketing strategies differ from each other. And the two partners here share an insight into the type of marketing that works for them and bring customers to them.
We market on social media, both Facebook, Instagram, and some other links too. So we do market online, mostly online.
Two phases. Now, and I'm saying this because I want to make sure that I'm not, by my words, meddling things up. So basically, internet has been the basic part where we sold. In fact, over 1,000 orders came from the internet. But somehow, the highest paying customers that we've, you know, had to meet and sell to came from one-on-one conversation and or from referrals. So if we talk about numbers of sales, the internet has done justice to that. But if we talk about in fund shares, I mean, online, you know, physical one-on-one conversations has helped that to fly on the wings of returning customers and referrals, most importantly. So basically, most of the people that I sold for in the last 2 years have somehow referred me to their networks, to their, you know, they've helped me meet up with their connections and sell to their kinds of people. And that is one thing that has actually helped me move faster and helped us as a business. So we've had to sell for, in fact, most of, like, if we put together 10 of our clients now, about 5 of them know each other because we get to meet some of them from, you know, one other person or the likes, or their friends or their circle. So that is how it has been, you know, in recent times. But, you know, in those days, it was just me in a corner in Obanijesu, you know, making pottery and making sure that no work goes without getting into the internet. So somehow the internet has helped me, you know, produce and sell those works from Obanijesu to about 4 or 5 different states at the time. And that happened over and over until we met this particular person that felt, oh, your voice needs to be heard. People need to see what you're doing. We love this and that. And then they began to refer and, speak to their friends and that.
On pricing and delivery in Lagos, here's what they have to say.
I have a lot of customers. If it's too expensive, they will be like, please come down. We are in this country together. Let's just manage and make things together. So I do have a lot. I have a lot of customers.
There are price ranges, right? So from water filters, water pots, So functional wares are usually always more expensive because we need to take a lot of precautions, use a lot of materials, and make sure that we do flow rate test and every other test that they require to be done. And so that varies between 40,000, 70,000, and 100,000, depending on the kind of product. So for aesthetic wears, we do 20,000. I mean, it just depends on 20,000, 30,000, 50, just depending on. So now we put a lot of factors. So now because we do what's it called? Custom orders, random request. So it means that we have to price each product differently. Some people want 2 feet tall vases, some want 3 feet tall vases, some want 5 feet tall, and as much as 7 and 8 feet tall. So for that reason, we also consider, that's height, right? That requires a size of clay to be used. Another factor is the design, the intricacy, and how much design and patterns and rhythms and balance that we're putting into each of those pieces. From packaging in the studio, I want to send all the regards and the accolades to my team. They're always doing wonderful jobs. Really, I mean, it's always a lot of work from their hand. We do packagings with used cartons, sponge, like the foams, right? And we use ropes and threads and different kinds of things to make sure that the products are properly managed. I mean, packed to avoid cracks and breaks while they are moving them. Second thing is that we have delivery partners who either picks up the pots from the studio and then send them directly. So we have like a partnership deal that comes with like an insurance. So they try and make sure that the pot or the pieces gets to the customers in good shape, that if issues happen, they bear a particular percentage, and that has been helpful. It makes them conscious of what they are carrying, and they don't just like, carry it. And so first is the packaging, the second is our partners, and then of course my team. They have been doing a good job packaging and making sure that.
On the future of pottery in the coming years, where many have taken interest, are willing to learn the skill and even purchase products, Kemi and Francis are in high hopes about the future of the pottery industry.
We have a lot of people that are learning pottery, both from schools and we have the apprentices too. We have people coming for their high teas, and some people will just decide that we love what you are doing. We love what you are doing. We want to learn too. Then they come, they pay, then they learn how to make pottery too. Then us more, because they've been saying we are trying to combine the two. We studied it in school. We are not that local potter, so we combine everything together, both the African designs and the foreign designs too. So everything are working together, and people are in love with what we are doing too. The Nigerians have already changed their mind that we are producing more than what the whites are producing.
Thoughts on that?
Okay, so that's in 2 ways. I like to say 2 things. So that's in 2 ways. First is, it is known and acceptable in the midst of some set of people, whereas it's entirely a different case somewhere else, right? So let me say, people who knows it, I mean the rich and the people that can afford it, knows what it is about. But the people who can't actually do not know anything about it. And then you have to try. So sometimes when they say, what do you do? And I say, I do pottery. People go ahead to say, oh, pottery, you rear birds. not pottery. Pottery. Say, what's pottery? And you have to go ahead and say the ones they make from clay. And so people say, oh. Make sure that the circle of people who knows about the product and who has seen the product gets to value it more by creating different kinds of aesthetic from it and making sure that the story, keeps on rolling. Like it has been in the ancient past, in the past days, like our great-grandmother, Ladikwali, these people have been potting from years back, decades back, and then the story or the craft still remains. It means that if it has survived this long, it's going to be difficult for it to go into extinction. And of course, speaking of the fact that it's a course in several universities, and then people are studying, it means that somehow we've been able to, as a country, help the narrative to stay in play for a long period of time.
Ikeja is a city that was once known as Akeja, named after a deity of the Awori people of Ota. It is now the capital of Lagos, one of Africa's most industrious hubs. Ikeja is an acronym which stands for Ikorodu and Ekpe Joint Administration. Ikeja is a city located in Lagos State, Nigeria. It is the capital of Lagos State and also serves as the headquarters of Ikeja local government area. The city is known for its vibrant commercial activities with a lot of markets, shopping centers and businesses. Some notable landmarks in Ikeja include the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, the Lagos State Secretariat, the Ikeja City Mall, and the largest computer village, which is the largest technology market in Nigeria. The population of Ikeja is estimated to be around 1.5 million people. Murtala Muhammed International Airport is the main international airport in Nigeria. It is located in Ikeja, Lagos State, and is named after a former Nigerian head of state, Murtala Muhammed. The airport in Lagos serves as a hub for several domestic and international airlines, and it is one of the busiest airports in Africa. The airport has two terminals, the international terminal and the domestic terminal. The international terminal has two concourses which serve duty-free shops, restaurants and lounges. The domestic terminal also has several restaurants and shops. The airport has several amenities including free Wi-Fi, currency exchange, ATMs and baggage storage facilities. The Lagos State Secretariat is a government building complex located in Alausa Ikeja area of Lagos State. The complex serves as the administrative hub of the Lagos State government, housing several government agencies and departments. The secretariat comprises several buildings including the Lagos State House of Assembly, the Lagos State Governor's Office and the Lagos State Civil Service Commission. The complex also has a large central courtyard and several parking lots. The secretariat is open to the public during working hours and visitors are also allowed to access specific areas of the complex. Ikeja City Mall, one of the largest and foremost shopping and entertainment center, is also located in Alausa area of Ikeja. The mall is one of the largest shopping centers in Lagos State and is a popular destination for shopping, dining and entertainment. The mall has several anchor stores and also has over 100 retail shops, restaurants and cafes. The mall has a modern design with an open-air central courtyard, an indoor food court and a children's play area. Ikeja City Mall, also known as ICM, is open to visitors 7 days a week and there is an ample parking space available. The mall is a popular destination for young people with several events and activities organized regularly. And moving on to the top, Computer Village is a technology market located in Ikeja area of Lagos State and is one of the largest technology markets in Africa and is a hub for sales and repairs of computers, phones and other electronic devices. Computer Village is a bustling market with several shops and kiosks selling a wide variety of electronic products. This product ranges from mobile phones to laptop, printers, cameras and other accessories. The market also has several repair shops where technicians can fix faulty devices. Computer Village is open every day and is advisable to visit during the weekdays to avoid the weekend crowds. The market is known for its affordable prices, but visitors are advised to be careful and verify the authenticity of the product before making a purchase. It is a significant landmark in Ikeja and it attracts visitors from all over the country and even from other parts of Africa. This is what you can get and even more when you visit Ikeja area in Lagos State.
It's been a wonderful ride hearing from Kemi and Francis about the clay pottery industry in Lagos, the famous city of Ikeja, and of course a relaxation spot here in the city of Lagos. I'm sure you enjoyed every segment brought to your screen today. Till I come your way again next time, I remain Grace Cofie. Bye for now.